good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day you're watching the Awkward podcast. This is the headline today. 100,000 people have been officially diagnosed with ADHD and are claiming PIP. In today's episode, we'll be asking, is it fair? And more importantly, what about the outcry which has followed the news that they don't even have to do a day's work? So, girls, that's the headline today, and people are going crazy. It seems that the suggestion is it's money to do nothing. First of all, what's PIP, Sophie?
Well, it's called personal independence payments when it comes to PIP. And a lot of people think when it comes to PIP that it's just an easy to get, one size fits all. You just say, oh, I've got ADHD, and then you're eligible for PIP. And it is a lot more complex because PIP isn't a benefit for people not to work or to work. It's irrelevant of your financial situation. It's to add an add-on so that you're supported in work or out of work, whatever your situation is, depends on your disability and your life circumstances. But it's to enable you to start to thrive in life.
Yeah, and anyone with ADHD will know that your brain needs to be kept occupied, you need to be kept busy. So it's also a good incentive, and it helps people with their medical appointments, costings to get around, costings for their transport, lots of different things that people may need to help them with their ADHD. And not only that, ADHD, autism, all neurodiversions usually come with some physical conditions as well as just the mental conditions, which people don't really seem to think. You can't just put ADHD on a PIP form and get PIP. It just doesn't work like that.
That was quite interesting because today when the news broke, the expert was saying you won't just get it for ADHD.
No.
It's got to be a multiple. It's got to affect your daily life. It's got to be that you then need help, be it with transport. Maybe, for example, we've got a guy, haven't we, cannot go on a train. We only discovered that. He just can't. It blows his mind, the sound, the noise, it's too much for him. But he wants to work, so that might help him transport or even pay for a taxi to get him to do a full day's work, feel better in himself. Otherwise, he'd never work again.
Yeah. Many can't follow a journey. Many forget where they're going, how to get there, when they get there. And so this is all extra support to get them into a normal life as such. And coming back to the physical health, a lot of people with ADHD also have a chronic illness alongside it. A lot of people with autism have things like IBS, Crohn's, stuff like that. So you've got to look at the whole picture. It's not just, I've got ADHD, I'll get PIP. It doesn't happen.
And I also think there's a real misdemeanour. A lot of people with ADHD have almost become the scapegoats in the media for literally everything. And apparently there's around 2 million people who have ADHD in the UK. So 100,000 people claiming PIP with ADHD isn't actually a big number in the scheme of things. And often it's when you've chronically got ADHD, but also a number of other factors. And there's situation schemes such as access to work as well as PIP, which can help people in work. And I think
so. It's not a Skyver. It was sold on the headline as a Skyver scheme, oh great, you've got a diagnosis, now you'll never have to work again. Knowing you two, as I do, that would be the worst thing that would happen to you, saying you never have to work again.
100%.
Sit at home, do nothing. Your brains
You
would
show
blow.
me one person with ADHD that can sit at home for even a day, for even an hour. Doesn't happen. You have to be kept busy. You have to have a structure. You have to have a reason to keep going. You cannot just sit there and think, right, I'll just sit here and get some money into my bank account. It's never going to happen.
And it's about how we've changed it. When they used to say, oh, we need equality, it's actually making things equitable, so that sometimes people do need an extra benefit or something to help them actually live, or for the society to be equal. So it means that you can then access support.
Because that sounds a bit flaky, if you don't mind me saying.
No, it's fine, because I think it's good because people do just think, it's just
I could do with support, but really I'm just having a bad day. Do you see what I'm saying? Or my husband's left me and I don't get support. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What specifically with ADHD and its complications, as Becky so brilliantly described, could an actual support network system, what would it look like?
it all depends on that one person and the different conditions that they're living with. But for something like ADHD, as an example, it might be occupational therapists to help you live day to day, getting to the supermarket or being able to feed your family or organise your house, little bits and bats like that. But then also, because these coexist with so many other conditions, it can be physical things where it might be someone, a support worker at home. You might need help physically doing things, especially with fibromyalgia or different issues.
I pay privately for my treatment for fibromyalgia. I've had hundreds of different therapies and tried everything, but the only thing that works for me is myofascial release, and that makes me be able to function.
How much is that?
So it's first one is, I think it's an hour, which is £180, and then it's £90 every session, and that's I can only do that every couple of weeks, but then for the next few days after that, I can move, I can do things, and I can
and
function.
You can work.
Yeah, and I can work.
Because it seems to be, as I say, isn't this a disgrace? I heard it on LBC this morning when the headline broke. Well, why can't you work? Well, the answer is you can work and you do work, but there might be extra hospital appointments. We know how difficult it was discussed in one of the episodes to actually get a diagnosis. You might need to go down the private route. This means that you can function.
Another main thing is with ADHD, with the chronic illness, you have up days and down days. You never know what day it's going to be like when you open your eyes. Some days you probably can't even get out of bed. Some days you struggle to leave the house. So that is also put in place for the down days, when you can't do things.
Which is why so many are self-employed, because...
I was just going to say, and then you've got to fill in those gaps of the down days and the up days.
You could have a week, a really bad week, a big flare-up with your ADHD, a big flare-up with your fibromyalgia, and and you physically, you cannot physically do anything or mentally do anything. So what happens then? You just don't eat, you just don't feed yourself. No, PIP is there to cover those gaps.
Yeah. How much is it? How much? I mean, I know this sounds ridiculous. How much is PIP? How much can it be?
So
because there's going to be people out there thinking, I'd love to get out and do what these girls are doing, but I don't know how. I don't know where to get the support, and this might help me at least get a taxi to a job centre or pay for a session or do whatever. How much can it be?
It all varies, but if you were to get the highest rate, so it goes on living allowance, so that's for your mental health side of things, and then it goes on your mobility. So you can get low rate or enhanced. So if you were to get top high rate, enhanced high rate mobility, then I think it's about $750. But
and that's per month.
But yeah, but what they're all carrying on about the ADHD.
I think it goes up to.
Don't tap the table if that's all right.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it goes up to. I said the maximum was 1,000. That's with everything. That's with transport. That's with which, when you think about it, if it enables you to actually work, you're then paying tax on your work, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So presumably you can earn so much as well.
Yeah.
And if you go over that threshold, like everybody else, you pay tax on it.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a push helps you, as one person described it today, the mental help that it gives you to feel useful and in control and a real person is indescribable.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it could just harness them into their first voluntary position. It could harness them into studying. There's so many things. I always see benefits. It's more about making sure that everyone has equal, as much as possible, foundations in place, because we're all born so differently with different circumstances. It makes it actually help us to work. So I'd actually, rather than recommending people don't try and get PIP and stuff, I'd actually recommend that they do if they need it, and also stuff like access to work as well. So if you are in work or looking to get into work, access to work is another way you can actually get money from the government. And it's not easy. Again, it's a huge application process. I think people think you just go, I want PIP, and then they'll give you it. It's very hard. But what it does enable you in the workplace is then, if you need extra technology to help you work, or you need like green paper, things that cost, and people don't realise how much it adds up, all these different bits of equipment.
Well, my daughter's got
Why would
dyslexia.
you need green? Why would you need green paper? I'm doing this.
Dyslexia, isn't it? Is it for dyslexia?
Dyslexia. It's for a number of different people with different visual and sensory
you can get
needs.
coloured sheets, see-through coloured sheets that you put over your writing, which helps you read it better as well. There's all sorts of different shaped pens. My daughter used to have a different shaped pen at school because she had dyslexia. So there's lots of things.
And she has ADHD as well.
Yeah.
So, as you're saying, another example of
Yeah.
two really quite debilitating conditions, shall we call them? You know, really competing till sometimes it's overwhelming.
I think you'd be hard pushed to find anyone with just ADHD.
Yeah, I think it definitely coexists. So I got diagnosed originally with dyslexia, then dyspraxia, and then later in life ADHD and autism. And I thought, I actually said to somebody, oh, well, it sounds a bit ridiculous. It sounds like I'm just going through everything and just ticking all the boxes. And they're like, no, these all coexist together. They're often part of one big spectrum. And that's what makes you you. You're just identifying the things that you need support in. And I'd argue that if you did get the right support and the money and the backing behind you, it's not just to do with the money at all, it's the support around you. You can actually thrive and contribute so much to society.
So how has PIP helped people that you know, maybe yourself or whatever? How has, you take it away and just give me some examples of people who would have been sitting there drowning in the confusion and the stress. Does it ever help to get the diagnosis? You have to have the diagnosis first, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. How can it help?
So many people that I work with learning difficulties as well, and autism, ADHD, different diagnoses, they find like even just to go to a group, they might be, so I work on a Friday at Coactive Arts Charity, so to fund that, part of their PIP might go towards that, or to a support worker that would enable them to get there. It just helps them overcome certain barriers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be getting out of the house, they wouldn't be contributing, they wouldn't be able to actually develop in their own lives.
A lot of people won't go to a supermarket. They don't like going out in open spaces with people around them. They probably shop online, which costs twice as much. You know, Uber Eats and Deliveroo and all of that. They'll probably just get takeaways, which is obviously not the best idea to live on takeaways, but that kind of living is twice as expensive as someone being thrifty
you could
in a
use your PIP
supermarket.
to actually find a support worker who will go with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually go, actually, I've got used to it now.
Yeah.
I mean, even a cleaner. A lot of people can't clean up their own house. It's too overwhelming for them and overstimulating. They look at it and they think, I can't do it. So some people might need a cleaner twice a week,
Or even to help get dressed. For some people, it's not always a physical issue getting dressed. It's the kind of mental process of it. And then so those people, it's trying to get them to help them to get dressed so that they're able to access health appointments, to access support, to access work. And it's all those things that it's easy for people who don't struggle with those things. So, well, you just need to get dressed. Look, you've got a functioning body and limbs. Surely you can do it. And that's just too simple a blanket. It's all relative to that individual of how they need that support. And also in today's day and age, it's not actually that much money if you're able to get it. We're talking like £750 a month if you get the absolute highest of everything.
Yeah.
And it can go from little to that. And that still wouldn't cover somebody's wage.
And I'm going to be very controversial now. I was saying to
you.
I know. I was saying to Sophie earlier, what annoys me as well. So when I go on holiday, I mean, I don't mean like to the Bahamas or anything like that. I mean, I went to the caravan a few weeks ago. My mind rested, my body rested. I actually slept solid for the nights I was there. So to do that for me is resetting my whole body, my whole mind. And so many people, you see so many articles, oh, Susan's been caught zip wiring in Mexico, and so she's had all her PIP money stopped and this and that. But they don't seem to realise actually going away, whether it be abroad, whether it be to the
and the effort
caravan.
it probably took to get Susie there.
Yeah.
I mean, the silly thing is that I'm just thinking an ADHD way now is she didn't want to go. She's overwhelmed. She's lost her passport. She can't go. This is the day before, by the way. It's not happening. She didn't want to go anyway. Blah, 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 blah. And then she's there and she's zip wiring because suddenly she goes,
You like a
I can
different,
do that.
You like a different person.
Yeah.
My daughter used to run off. Literally, she has autism. As we were boarding the plane, she used to run off in the airport. Honestly, absolute nightmare. But once we got there, she was swimming. You know, that's good for her body, her mind, her soul. You know, the heat, the sun. It makes such a difference. And I'm not saying, oh, just get PIP so you can go on holiday. A lot of these people work, as we were saying earlier. But, you know, stop trying to slam people for, you know, being who they are. These are invisible disabilities. You don't know what they go home to. You don't know how they collapse when they get in that house. So just, you know, just deal with your own life and stop bothering about other people.
And Chuffinell, if they taxed like bankers more and the people way at the top, that would earn, do you know, all these loopholes.
Sophie, I'm going to be really controversial because I'm a journalist and say, yeah, but, you know, there is a limited budget, and I understand why everything is scrutinised, which is why we're discussing that today. You know, at the end of the day, I was 9 hours in A&E, or potentially 9 hours to see a doctor with one doctor on, and it was crazy. So there's a lot. So what I'm trying to say to you is the whole point of this podcast is not to politicise it, but to explain what it is.
Yeah.
I think people are saying, you don't have to work. Well, you might not actually be able to work, but hopefully it will enable you to progress till you can for your own mental good.
Yeah, and to contribute to society.
And by the way, most people on it do work in the end.
Yeah, they do. And that's the thing with PIP. It's, I think what I'm trying to say is with people living with ADHD, it really actually, sorry, I'll start. With people living with ADHD, what it does is people use them now as scapegoat because we're banding it around a lot. So you could look at any PIP and go, oh, well, it serves this many people with back injuries or with this. And there's certain conditions that have a bad stigma, which is what we're all about busting, is that the stigma of it, ADHD is just being a bit clumsy, it's a bit all, just a bit all over, it's not a chronic
broken
disability.
both legs, we're in a cast from the top of it, they go, oh, poor thing, he deserves all the help he can get.
Yeah.
What we are saying is, and that's what I'm saying, we know that there is a finite amount of money, but what I'm seeing with both of you and other people I know through you and besides you is once the help is there, they become a functioning, earning, tax-paying member of society. We just need a little bit of help to balance.
I don't know anyone who genuinely does not want to work or contribute to society. It's very, very rare that anyone actually just goes, do you know what? I'm quite happy just sat here on my sofa. You might look at people from the outside and think that that's actually what they enjoy. But really, would you enjoy staying housebound? Really, would you enjoy not contributing and having nothing to get up for? It's a very sad state of affairs. It's not a kind of like, oh, there you are, you've got ADHD, there's some PIP and jog off to Bahamas and live your best life.
Yes.
You'll end up in down in London or somewhere different anyway. You wouldn't even make it to Bahamas.
You'd be in Barbados because it begins with a B and an A.
You'd end up conned and...
But no, and the reason I came tough there is because I can hear people who don't have it going, oh, it's just a busy brain. No, it's absolutely not. And it's hereditary. And to break the cycle, you almost have to teach those who will come after you, look, we can do this with a little bit of help.
Yeah, exactly, 100%, because it's not just, oh, we've all got a bit of ADHD because we're all a bit like this, or we all have no, that's either you might be a bit tired or a bit stressed, and our ADHD might get worse in those situations, or we have the meltdowns, which we'll talk about more in another episode. But this is about living with a chronic disability that disables you from society. And this is all about benefits, enabling people.
And I can't stress enough, people with ADHD, genuinely usually have more disabilities and illnesses than just ADHD. I don't think you'd find anyone with just ADHD.
Well, I think it was quite clear that it said that you wouldn't get PIP.
No.
Had ADHD.
Yeah.
It's got to be
very rare, very
and just
rare.
finally, you've got Becky, the perfect example of somebody they said would never work with all those different things, with a bit of kind of alcoholism cured, or kept in check,
Yeah.
etc. But lots of other things. But ADHD certainly right up there. A perfect example with a little bit of help. What this guy is achieving now.
Yes, so he was on the streets. We met him on the streets. His parents died one after another, and he was made homeless. He started drinking. He's also got a stammer, ADHD, and autism. And he was told, "You'll never make anything of yourself." And I was told, "You'll never be able to save him." And he's doing amazing now with the right support. And the people who believe in you, you can do anything. He's now got his own business, Leeds Handyman, and he works so hard. But to start his business, he also needed things like he needed a petrol trimmer, he needed a petrol hedge trimmer. These things don't come cheap. But now he's flourishing, and we're doing all his accounts, and he's been paying his taxes. He's doing minimal hours, as much as he can do for how he feels on the day. So he's doing his own agenda. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Schedule.
His own diary, whatever. To how his condition is for him. And so without that Pip on top, he wouldn't be able to do these things.
He wouldn't have been able to even go and buy the fork to
No.
put in the first sod or the first ground, and now here, and he's on a good run. The thing with Pip is, and we know with him, he'll also have a bad run.
Yeah.
Picking him up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
fascinating. I do think people do judge really, really difficultly. I'm one of the people who likes to repeat this, if you don't mind, and I've kind of been quite tough on you in this because I want people to go.
No, I think it's good.
But I'm one of the people who said, in life, I have met some absolute monsters. But there's 90%, 99% more good people out there and honest people out there. So if 5%, 1% of the 100,000 are just scroungers, what about the 99%?
Yeah.
Who
And
would
actually, it's not only the 99% people, it's scaring off getting the support
Yeah.
which they need to enable
So
them
if you
to
know
live.
somebody that you think, just with a bit of help or getting them to this appointment or an extra thing, if you know somebody, just get in touch with the podcast. They'll put you in the right direction. Thank you.